Hey everyone, it's Mike from Balls of Fury, and in today's episode, I'm going to tell you guys the difference between a het and a visual recessive. Now, our collection is mainly based around recessive ball python mutations. They are great investment quality animals. They hold their value extremely well, and they make for some of the most beautiful ball python mutations and combos out there. And the thing that I like about recessives is that they get better and better with age for the most part. And when you start combining recessives together, it makes it even better and even crazier and even rarer. So let's get into it, guys, so you guys can understand the difference between a het and a visual snake. First, I'm going to show you guys what a heterozygous animal looks like in comparison to the visual expression of whatever recessive gene you're working. This guy right here is a leopard yellow belly, and he is double het for hypo and pied. So what that means is he's not actually visually expressing either the hypo or the pied gene, but he is carrying a copy of each trait on his DNA. So the visual expression is like a super. Basically, a visual pied or a visual hypo will be expressing two copies of the gene. Now, when you breed a visual recessive to something, it passes on at least one copy of that recessive trait. So when you breed a pied to a pied, all of the babies will be visually pied because they are each passing a copy of that pied gene to their offspring. And you need two copies to create the actual visual expression in the offspring. This guy only has one copy of each of those recessive traits, so he is not visually expressing it. However, when you breed this guy to a visual pied or hypo, you will on average make half that are visually hypo or pied because, like I said, he'll be passing one copy on to half of the babies, and then the visual will be passing on a copy to each baby. Now, that's one of the perks of having visual animals, is that you kind of skip that step and you can basically make all visual animals when you breed visual to visual. But hets are important too, because some of these projects are very, very expensive, and sometimes the hets are the best way to go as far as your budget, and you still get the same results. You still can make the visuals, so there's nothing wrong with getting the het animals as well. Now, if this guy was visually expressing hypo or pied, he would look a lot different. But I will show you guys the difference. I'll show you guys a pied and what it looks like and what the visual representation of that gene looks like, and also a hypo. So I wanted you guys to have an idea of what a het is before we got into that. All right, you guys, so here we are looking at the visual representation of the pied gene. As you can see, she looks a lot different than the male that we just showed you guys, who's actually heterozygous for the pied gene. Now, she is visually expressing pied, which means she has two copies of the pied gene attached to her DNA. She's also yellow belly, so that kind of messes with the appearance of this pied as well. It gives it a little bit of a different color, and it also gives it more of like a pixelated look towards its saddles. I don't know if you guys can see that right there, but just a beautiful snake. Basically, guys, this is what the visual representation will look like. Now, like I said, if we breed that het to this girl, half the babies on average will be visual pieds, and the other half will be 100% het pied. Now, the reason that they are 100% het pied is because she is a visual pied, and she will pass one copy of the pied gene to each baby in the clutch. Now, guys, here is the visual presentation of a hypo. This girl is an orange dream Enchi hypo ball python. Now, the hypo stands for hypomelanistic, so it makes the snake lack black pigment, also known as melanin. So it really, really gives the snake a clean appearance as it gets big. And as you can see, this girl is super bright, super beautiful, and just full of color. And she's about a year old. She looks awesome, super bright. The hypo gets better and better with age. But like I was saying, she looks a lot different than that boy who is double het. And you can tell the difference very, very easily between a visual and the het. But that's basically the difference between visuals and hets, guys. It's pretty easy to understand once you grasp the difference between the two. And Now it kind of will help you to figure out what your breeding projects are going to be once you understand the difference between the two and how you can work with the two mutations together. You know what I mean? And you could breed those two snakes together and actually create the visual representation of the recessive morph that you're working with. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope that helps anyone who was having trouble understanding the difference between a het and a visual ball python. I hope everyone has a great day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.